Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. My next guest is quite simply a good man. He, in addition to calling NFL games and World Series games, he wrote the foreword to my new book, Crash and Burn. And everybody claims it's their favorite part of the book. He did an amazing job, so I appreciate it. The great Joe Buck. What's up, Joe?
How you doing, man? Everything good?
Everything's great, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you writing the foreword, and it's getting amazing feedback. John Ritchie, my partner, loved it. Right? Everybody really likes it. Yeah.
Hilarious stuff.
Yeah, funny and made good points.
And very self-effacing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that kind of, it gets a little bit frustrating sometimes when you do what I do and people think that they have you in a box and they know what you're like and they know what you're about and they know your sense of humor and they think you're a stiff or they think you're boring or they think you're and it's like, okay, well, here you go. You want a forward? Here's a forward. I have to admit that it's been about a year since I wrote that thing. I thought your book came out like 8 months ago.
No, I know. It's believe me, there were some issues. The lawyers had to look over a lot of things in the book, which I think makes it a better book. But it took a little time. It's supposed to be out last Christmas or last fall.
When are we doing a book signing? Or I mean, I want to go. I want to sit next to you at a table. I want to make the greatest photo op that these guys and girls can ever find with Artie Lange.
Well, you know what?
I'll sit there and I'll smile and be happy.
I'm going to get you. I'll get your email off the air, please, and I will email you a book signing schedule. Anyone you can make, you're welcome to it.
I'll sit there and I'll be your best co-pilot ever. I promise.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Again, thank you. And forward by Joe Buck, Crash and Burn. You can get it now. And he might show up at a signing, which would be the best thing ever. Hey, Joe, let's talk some baseball here. What an amazing series. Sloppy in a lot of ways, but is this one of the craziest, weirdest series you've ever seen?
It is the craziest and weirdest series that I've seen. I've done 16.
Yeah.
And this is by far the weirdest, yet kind of one of the most exciting in a strange way.
Definitely.
And I just got back to Boston, and I'm sitting here, and you can feel you can feel it when you land here. What these people are expecting. I mean, it's the first time that they've had a chance to clinch a World Series here in Boston
at Fenway.
At Fenway Park to win this thing tomorrow or the next night. It'll be historic, like it was back in 2004 when they beat the Cardinals and won their first one since 1918. So it's weird. It's been sloppy. There have been some weird calls. There have been some good calls. There have been, David Ortiz is not from this earth.
My God.
He's carrying it.
What is he doing? It's insane.
It is. And this guy's been written off twice. He was written off in 2010. He was written off in 2011 as being finished after April and May. And, he's come back and hit 30 home runs this year. And now he's just literally slung this team on his back. And he's offensively gotten them to this point. And John Lester has, pitching-wise, gotten them to this point. And it's been really, really interesting and fun to watch.
I mean, I know you're a pro, man, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but is there a part of you that roots for the Cardinals when you do stuff like this?
I can be completely honest and tell you that. I maybe it's because I'm just like an egomaniac and only worry about myself, but I just want to do a good job.
Right.
The idea of rooting. In fact, I go home. I go to St. Louis, and people on the radio shows, Joe Buck hates the Cardinals, and his dad is.
You can't win. You can't win, man. It's crazy.
You cannot win that night. You just can't. And I've given up. I've thrown my hands up, even trying to do it. So when an exciting moment happens, I'll get excited. I don't care who it is. If people like it, if people don't, I don't care. I'm just going to be done with this and enjoy every minute of it. And, the rooting stuff is so ludicrous that it's not even a part of the way I think. So, I said as a kid when I was doing this at 27 and the Cardinals were in it against the Braves way back when, I don't even work even associated with the Cardinals anymore. But back in 96, I said, those guys aren't on the field rooting for me to do a great job in the booth. And I'm not up in the booth rooting for them to do a great job on the field. Whatever happens, I'll call it and move on to the next event.
Well, you and Tim are pros because you and Tim both have St. Louis roots, obviously, and you can't tell at all that there's any bias. You just call a great game.
Well, thank you. But, people hear what they want to hear.
Right.
People associate me with St. Louis, and that's great. I'm proud to be from St. Louis, and I'm proud of my family's history with the Cardinals, and I don't run from it. My dad was my best friend, and I grew up around that team. However, I have a career, and if the Red Sox win the World Series, great. If the Cardinals win the World Series, great. And I'm paid to call it, not root.
Well, you'll be a part of history if you see it at Fenway. Absolutely. The Red Sox winning. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. In 2004, Artie, I was the first guy to ever be able to say in the history of television the Red Sox were world champions. And now the same this year. If they win it here at home, I'll be the first guy to ever call a World Series winner for the Red Sox at Fenway Park. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, means a lot, definitely.
Hey, Joe, Wacha's on the mound for Game 6. Based on what you've seen of him this postseason, do you feel like he's unbeatable?
I think we got 7 games. That's what I think.
I do too. I think this is a 7-game series, and I really do think Wacha's that good. I think he's their best starter. I think he is not scared. I think his stuff is just sparkling. The way his fastball, his changeup, his demeanor, the way he carries himself, he gets it, he throws it, he doesn't mess around, he's not scared. There's so many things to like about that guy. And John Lackey may go out and pitch the greatest game of his life. He's been so good this postseason, even out of the bullpen. But that said, I think this is going to be one of those series where Game 7 will roll around, and it's going to be just toss a baseball out there and see who wins. And that's when the sport is unlike any other. And I know, Artie, you're a Yankee guy, and people have their rooting interest in whatever team they followed. A Game 7, a winner-take-all, loser-go-home in baseball is unlike any other big event in any other sport.
Oh, I agree with you. Again, I'm romantic about baseball, but, the thought of even as a Yankee fan, the thought of the Red Sox clinching at Fenway gives me goosebumps, and you don't get that in any other sport. And the other great thing is, think of this, everyone's saying don't pitch to Ortiz, but you got this young kid, practically a teenager, Wacha, who might have this competitive edge where he's like, no, I want to try to strike him out, and he might just throw it all to the wind and do that. And what a great matchup.
He will.
Yeah.
That's what makes baseball great.
With
David Ortiz sitting in the batter's box with a bat on his shoulder, and this kid on the mound, 22 years old, a year and a half removed from pitching at Texas A&M, trying to figure out a way to get him out. Because to this point, the Cardinals haven't done anything to slow him down. And Wacha gave up a home run to him in Game 2, and I guarantee you, Wacha's thinking the way you just were talking, that, okay, he got me the last time, I'm getting him this time, and that's what makes this whole thing fun. Right.
I'm a competitor. I'm going to try to strike him out. And think of Ortiz, he a big lefty. He's even built like Babe Ruth. He's like a modern day Babe Ruth. He looks like him, He's got he's got the gut, and he's a big hitter.
He is, and he's a better athlete, I think, than people give him credit for. There are certain big guys that can still move. David Wells with the Yankees was a guy like that.
Yeah.
A heavy guy, but he had athletic ability, good feet, could move. And David Ortiz uses that athletic ability, to its fullest. I'm with you. And he's fun to watch, and he's a fun quote. He's a guy that married a girl from Green Bay. He's very Americanized, and he's a guy that will tell you, the quotes today in the paper, I was born for this. And to read an athlete saying that on the biggest stage, everybody tries to be humble, everybody tries to not rile up the other side, but he's just kind of in his own category. And I think players from both sides, fans from both sides, realize how good of a player he is.
Joe, because you've been such a good friend to me, I'm going to give this to you free on a platter, the single greatest home run call you could possibly imagine for David Ortiz. Okay. There's a scene in The Godfather that I'm sure you know where Fredo is trying to save the Godfather. He's his bodyguard, but he's the idiot son, and he can't save him. And Brando gets shot 6 times in the back. And Fredo looks down at him and screams, "Papa!" when he thinks he's dead. He just goes, "Papa!" And Ortiz's nickname is Big Papi. So we pulled the actual clip, and I'll give you an example of what you could do if he goes deep again. You ready?
Okay.
James, you ready? Here we go. Here's a 2-2 pitch to Ortiz, swing, and it's a long drive in the right center field, going back.
Oh my God,
Joe, it's perfect.
I'm in.
Joe, if you actually did that, it would be the single greatest moment.
If I do that, can I write the forward to your story?
You can have whatever you want. Again, the great thing about it is you're always so articulate and you're right on the money, but you could bail anytime you want. Like, just think, like, if you stumble over your words, like, here's Ortiz, shot down the line, the wind's got it, what's going on?
I love it. It's almost like never mind. I'm not
all right, exactly. I don't want to get you in any more trouble. So just, I know, run it by McCarver.
McCarver will be like, "What in the hell?"
Again, on a silver platter, I'm giving it to you. So just think about it, mull it over.
I will, and then when he gives me that look, the crowd settles down. I'll just say, "Hey, 2 words: Artie Lange."
Artie Lange ruined my life again. Hey, let's talk about Tim McCarver. Joe, he's out of there after this year, and he's been your partner a long time. He speaks so highly of you. What do you think of Tim McCarver? Talk about him for a while.
Well, I mean, I got to tell you, everybody's got an opinion, and if you do this long enough, everybody's going to have an opinion. And he's one of those guys that you would love because when he was a player, and I knew this from talking to Gibson, and my dad was a broadcaster for the Cardinals back in the 60s, he was a guy that was, if he was your teammate, he'd run through a wall for you.
Right.
And as a broadcast partner, that's the way he's always been for me. And when I was 27, doing my first World Series, Braves at the Yankees in 1996, to be able to sit next to him and know that whatever was going to happen on that field, he had either been a part of before or had seen before, was the ultimate security blanket.
Yeah, amazing. That's amazing, yeah.
It is, and it's something that I don't take lightly, because I think when I was that age, I was scared to death of being found out as some fraud, and I'm there as somebody's kid, and I'm, nepotism and all that stuff.
Right.
And I had a guy who was willing to engage me in baseball conversation, to hear my point. He gave me credibility. And so we've gone on for 18 years. It's 16 World Series together. And when you're on that platform and on that stage and everybody's picking you apart, if somebody's picking on me, they're picking on him too in his mind, and vice versa. So I'm going to miss him. He's not scared. He'll criticize somebody and walk up to them the next day and hear what they have to say. He's just kind of a man's man, and what he says carries great weight, and that's hard to find in this business these days. Everybody's got an opinion, blogs, all that other stuff.
Right.
He's played, he's seen it. And he's going to be missed. I promise you that.
He'll be missed, and you're going to move on, and I'm sure you'll do great stuff. But you guys as a team is going to be missed. Absolutely. A couple of generations grew up listening to you guys do the World Series, Yeah,
and a lot of Yankee stuff, a lot of New York stuff, and people are always like, why do you hate the Yankees? And I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. But that being said, I know when he's going to stop and I can jump in. I know how to, listen to the crowd and know when to talk and when not to. And I know where he's going and he knows where I'm going. There's a subtle thing when we're doing a game. If he leans a little bit forward or he'll put his hand out, I don't even know if he knows that he does it. I know he's got something to say, and that just comes with time. And, with you two guys sitting there in the studio, when the other guy's going to ask a question, and when it's your turn to sit the next one out. It's the same way with he and I. with a live event that's going to, millions of people every night. It's an intense living.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
It is.
And you guys make it look easy, but it's a lot of pressure.
It is. And I think in this day and age with Twitter and social media, everybody's going to just rip you.
It's
and
the
pick
worst.
You apart, you suck and all that.
It's the worst.
I get it, but at the same time, it's good to be paired with somebody who's been there, done it, and will kind of grab your hand and go, let's just charge forward and, forget the people that are ripping you and tearing you down, because if it's not you, they'll be ripping the next guy, tearing them down.
With the Yankee stuff, the direct opposite is true to me as a hardcore Yankee fan. The way Marv Albert's voice is linked, I feel, to Michael Jordan's career in the playoffs, like a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. Your voice is linked to Jeter to me. Like Jeter in the postseason, like, you just saying, here's Jeter. Jeter makes the play. Like, I equate your voice with Jeter in the postseason. Absolutely.
Well, this will bring a smile to your face, because I ran into Ben, not to name drop, but I have to for the purpose of the story. I ran into Ben Affleck, and it's like, will you just quit kissing Jeter's ass? And I thought, I wish every Yankee fan could be standing here listening to this, because the whole perception that what idiot wouldn't like being in New York doing the biggest event
of course
in sports? And so I'm pointed there in February for the Super Bowl coming up, and to get a chance to do a Super Bowl in New York,
crazy.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, I want you to know I am not one of those detractors. It's a thrill for me to talk to you, just because I've been watching what you do for so long, and you kind of touched on it too. You are the ultimate teammate in the booth. Right. I really respect that. I mean, you're not only doing it in baseball, but I mean, you do such an amazing job football-wise,
you and Aikman are a team in football. Yeah.
It's just incredible to me that you can somehow balance it. I saw something where he's the third in the history of broadcasting. Joe is the third guy to have the lead baseball coverage and lead football coverage. It's
impressive,
impossible what you do, yet you make it work. I just want to know, how do you possibly prepare? Are you just immersed?
You had to go from mode to mode
all week long. How do you pull this off?
Well, I'm not doing something that's the most important thing in the world, and I treat it that way. And I also know that if tomorrow, walking into Fenway Park, I get hit by a bus, they're still going to play. So it's not really the most important job in the world. That said, you have to be at least as knowledgeable as the most hardcore fan. And so I just try to read the clips from each side. I was flying up here tonight. I got through the Red Sox and the Cardinals clips, and then I picked up the stuff I printed out from the Cowboys and the Vikings, who I have on Sunday. And you just try to keep up day to day. But that said, I work with Troy, who prepares. I know why Troy Aikman, despite your latest album, I know why Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls. It's because he out prepares everybody else, and the same for Tim. So I get to lean on those guys, and I think I've figured out what I don't need to know, and I can zero in on what I do need to know, and I go from there. And I try to pick my spots and not, as I'm doing on this interview, which I'm sorry, but not try to overtalk and not try to just hammer people with stuff while a crowd's going nuts or whatever. You don't have when you don't have to do as much as you think you might need to. And when you figure that out, I think you've got the key to a long career.
Yeah, they always say that. Like guys like you, your father, Vince Scully, they let the crowd tell the story after a big thing. You say what happened, and then you get out of the way. I got to say, man, if you were, God forbid, accidentally hit by a bus, I hope to God I'm not driving it.
Right, well, that would only be some sort of irony and comedic justice. That, I could just see you in a little bus driver's suit.
Like Ralph Cramden.
Hey, sorry, man. It's been a long night. I've been all over the place. Hey, I apologize. Fenway Park, the lights were blinding me. Hey. Hope your family's okay.
Joe doing a sincere Artie Lange impression. nothing more corny. But
that's the repentant Artie Lange.
Yeah. God, I felt terrible. Listen, man, real quick, I'm going to give it to you one more time so it's in your head in case you want to do this tomorrow. Here we go. Bottom of the 11th inning, tied up, 2 down. David Ortiz comes up to the plate. Actually, tonight he's 0 for 6. Couldn't make it happen tonight out of all nights. And he swings. That's opposite field towards the Green Monster. Going up, the wind taking it. And just
people think McCarver like shot me or something. But I'll just let's just say it's in the chamber.
Can you
I'm going to fire it, but it's in there.
Can you try to say Papa real quick here? Can you try to do an impression?
Pop.
Papa. Papa. Dude, that's perfect.
Oh my
God! If you did that, I don't know what I would do. Well, listen. Again, I got to.
I'm in a restaurant right now. I gotta get it sorted out.
Sorry, you're gonna get committed. Real quick. So another reminder: the great Joe Buck has written the foreword to my new book, Crash and Burn, in stores today, and it's a great foreword. He did a great job. Asked for no money, no accolades. He just did it for me as a favor. A good man. And listen,
it just seemed right. It seemed like it was the right thing to do to kind of put a friggin' period / exclamation point / let's move on in our lives.
Yeah.
Ending to that whole
you did a great job. Pick up the book just for that. And if we can work out the schedules, I'll email you some dates. You might see Joe Buck at a signing, which would be unbelievable. Joe, you know what? I know you're going to do this anyway, but just really try to enjoy what I think will be the next 2 games. Fenway Park calling that. Not only calling a possible win in Fenway for the Sox for the first time since 1918 in a World Series, the David Ortiz story, the Wacha story, and McCarver's last game. I mean, try to sit back and really enjoy all that, man.
No, I will. And, it's a good point because we get wrapped up in the minute to minute. And, these are moments you look back on when I'm just wandering around aimlessly in some old folks home going,
think about it.
Trying to remember who won the World Series in 2013.
You'll make history. Joe, again, thanks for you've become a truly great friend to me. And I went through a lot of hard times. And I got to say, you really helped me get through some rough patches. Ironically enough, I appreciate it, and much luck throughout the football season as well. And hopefully, I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
That's nice. That means a lot. Thank you, Artie. And you guys have a great show, and we will for sure do a book signing. Yeah,
that's great. The great Joe Buck.
Right,
thanks, man.
Joe. Huge fan.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Could you imagine if he did that? If Ortiz hits 3 homers, maybe one of them will go, pa!
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.